Hello. Hi there, welcome to the Lightning Talks. For those of you who haven't been to Lightning Talks before, this is a section of small talks. We're using the time limit of 5 minutes. We'll have a sequence of speakers talking about something. There won't really be time for questions. It's quite a packed session. What I will do is I will before introducing and inviting down the speaker, I will warn the next person that they'll be speaking to give them time to prepare, and it allows them just to help that the session runs a bit more fluidly. Do la anuin qui mi volas inviti estas mia patrino do venu Claire sur scenen.
Danke. Mit 11 Jahren habe ich meinen allerliebsten Sänger Elvis Presley gehört, wie er Wooden Heart gesungen hat. Irgendwie habe ich gewusst, dass er kein tadelloses Deutsch gesprochen hat. Und ich habe mir sofort versprochen, dass ich eines Tages besser Deutsch reden würde als er. Un peu après, j'ai commencé à apprendre le français et le latin au lycée. À cette époque, c'était obligatoire d'apprendre ces deux langues. Malheureusement, je n'étais jamais confortable dans la langue française. C'est partiellement à cause de notre prof anglaise avec ses leçons très ennuyantes. Et aussi parce que je n'avais jamais passé de temps chez les Français en famille. Grâce à une petite maison secondaire dans le bocage normand, ça va beaucoup mieux maintenant. Also mit 14 Jahren habe ich angefangen, Deutsch zu lernen. Es hat so viel Spaß gemacht. Unsere Lehrerin, Frau Schmidt, hat 6 Wochen lang kein Wort Englisch gesprochen. Wir Schülerinnen auch nicht. Leider war sie für meine altmodische Schule viel zu modern. Und nach einem Semester musste sie von ihrer Stelle zurücktreten. In Scola Latina locuta sum, eramus quinque puellae, nunc von non possum magis. Nach dem Gymnasium habe ich eine Zeit lang bei einer Schiffbaufirma in der Nähe von Bremen gearbeitet. Ich wusste viel von Turbinenbau. Als ich wieder nach Hause zurückkehren sollte, bin ich zum Bahnhof gegangen und habe um eine Einzelkarte nach London gebeten. Und wann kommen Sie nach Hause? Hat mir der Angestellte am Schalter gefragt. Ach ja, ich komme nicht nach Hause. Ich fahre doch nach Hause, erwiderte ich. Das war ein Kompliment. En el colegio aprendí el español, pero asistió solamente a una clase de conversación, una, porque pensé que el profesor fue repugnante. Ahora soy una miembro de la Universidad de la Tercera Edad y cada semana tenemos una clase de cerca 8 carrozas. Y finalmente puedo hablar un poquito de español. I have a passion for India, where I've spent something like 19 months over the years, partly on holiday, partly doing voluntary work. My favorite spot is Kerala on the southwest coast. And one time I knew I was going to go there for several weeks, so I thought I would improve my Malayalam. I bought a book, optimistically called Learn Malayalam in a Month. It took me 1 week to learn how to write the 16 letters. It's a very circular language, and to me they all look alike. The 16 vowels. And then I turned the page and discovered that there were 38 consonants. And when you write a vowel with a consonant, you write it differently. I can speak 4 words of Malayalam: Una, Randa, Muna, 1, 2, 3, and Madi. That means enough. It is crucial when they are loading more food onto your plate. Eso es mi segunda reunión de políglotas. Es muy difícil para mí, porque no tengo la energía ni la capacidad de vosotros jóvenes. No puedo más recordar lo que oigo ni lo que leo. Mi ne parolas Esperanto, mi pensas que mi tro ajas poleni. Aber trotzdem, sogar mit meinen begrenzten und altmodischen Sprachkenntnissen, macht das alles viel Spaß und das ist das Wichtigste. Danke.
Do, mi pana pona tawa Jan Claire. Jan li Michael, li Jan Lon Alion Opali, Jan Cesco o Kamapona.
Mi havas videon por montri. Mi rajtas? Ne? No, oni ne povas, oni ne rajtas. Bone, ne gravas. Ne gravas. Se mi faros poste, kaj mi atendos, oni ne povas aŭ ne? Se mi atendos kaj mi lasos al aliaj. Se mi povas, mi lasas venu la venonta, the next one. The next one.
Do o Kamapona o Jan Michael.
Hello. I'm talking about language spaces in Europe and making new countries. First, a short map of Europe. This is the first language space, Northern Germanic. Second language space. Southern Germanic. Romanic. Southern Slavic, Northern Slavic. Some isolated places which I don't mention yet. A language space means that there are no sharp borders between languages, that all dialects continue to each other by soft changes. And now I'm making new countries in the language space. Short disclaimer, I do not want to offend anyone or destroy our countries or support nationalistic people, but I want to show that some languages have a wide variety of dialects, and some dialects of different languages are very close to each other. I start with the Romanic. First here, Iberian. It's here. Iberia. Then North Gallia. South Gallia. Tuscany. Biscorse. Sardinia is independent, and Italy, which language is not really the Italian we know. And Germany we divide Lower Germany, High Germany, and Upper Germany. And Scandinavia we divide in West and East. the Slavic I divide, North Slavic I divide in West and East. And last, the South Slavic, Illyria, Great Slovenia, Great Macedonia, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia. This is linguistic fully logic by the relation of dialects. And the last minutes I want to give you for comments, questions, and remarks. England stays England. Okay, it was a bit short for 5 minutes.
Do tibi gratias ago. Ubi est Česko. Do. Ubi est Nikolai. Ubi est Nikolai? Est in aulum? Do. Veni postea, Nikolai. Veni postea. Postea. E nunc veni ad scaenam Česko te rogo. Cum Limbas Language Seminar.
Gratias. Bone. Do mi volas rapide presenti la lingvan seminarion Limbas. C'est un séminaire polyglotte, on va dire, que j'ai lancé l'année passée avec l'association ICLOS en Sardegna, quindi nella splendida Sant'Antioco, vicino alla città di Cagliari, in Italia. Pues hemos hecho ya el año pasado en junio y este año en abril. E já participaram, entre outras pessoas, também Judith Maier, como ensinantes, claramente, Sophie Kaflisch, Elisa Polese, Charlotte Scherper-Larson. Et on a fait des introductions à l'espéranto comme langue propédétique, bien sûr. Ni faris ankaŭ enkondukojn pri ĉiare pri la araba, russa, itala gestolingvo. Ĉu vi komprenas? La sarda lingvo. Su sardu, apuvatu deu puru unu curso de sardu. Konversazioi, also Konversationen auf Deutsch, Französisch, Spanisch und Englisch. Und dann natürlich Polyglottenspiele und Polyglottenkanten. Also das, ihr könnt auch im Internet suchen. Es gibt Limbas in YouTube. Limbas auf Sardisch heißt Sprachen, Lingue. Das ist alles. Ich denke, mi pensas che ni faros ankaŭ dum la venonta jaro 2018. Je pense qu'on va normalement faire une autre édition. On ne sait pas encore quand. Et voilà. Donc, il reste combien de temps? 2 minutes, voilà. Si vous avez des questions ou même des propositions, si quelqu'un, par exemple, est intéressé, quiere venir para proponer un curso, una actividad sobre lenguas, no sé, estoy abierto a vosotros. ¿Oui?
Si queremos entender dónde encontramos o sea, si hay que comprar una entrada.
Sí, 20 euros. Para todo el festival. Sí, 5 días. El programa. Limbasfestival.it. Sì, è soltanto in italiano il sito. Limbasfestival.it. Sì? Une centaine de personnes. Ouais. Et c'est des écoliers, des profs de l'école, des étudiants universitaires. Voilà. Voilà. Otra Outras perguntas? Perfeito. Então, pois, se quiserem... Muito obrigado. Non locutus sum lingua latina, sed...
Non possum. So, danke schön, Cesco. Haben wir noch hier Philipp Newton? Ja, du bist die Nächste. Aber jetzt kommt Nikolai jetzt mit Audio Brain.
Hallo alle zusammen. Hello everybody. So I'm going to talk about two distinct topics. So I hope it will be enough for me for 5 minutes. And first topic is audio brain. Then I have question to you guys. Who is interested in languages? Could you raise the hand, please? So almost everybody. And what is audio brain? Audio brain is an application to memorize, to learn poetry in several languages. Yeah. So you can download it in Google Play. It is free, like ad supported, and you can learn languages in many. You can learn poetry in many languages using this application. So it has sound created with real actors in these languages. For example, I learned many poetry in many languages, and this is always why we also learn languages. We want to impress the people, and sometimes in some company, when I meet people, when I see the people from Korea, and I ask them, for example, can you understand me? And start reading, Chunnalkachi Hanri Uroro, Hanchumpokurame Opkiril, and so on. And then the people, they're really impressed at how do you know this? Because this is very known poetry in Korea, and the people are really impressed. And this took me by this application, it took me when I went to work. So it took me 2 days to learn it, to memorize it. And there are poetry in English, and German, and Russian, and Polish. I also learned in Lithuanian. This is the language. So what I did, I learned the poetry in the languages that I don't know at all, that I don't know any word. And so, for example, I know many of them, but I have no idea what they are about, what is the translation. I never looked at text. And this is really funny. And actually, what happened to me after I learned it, I returned back to the Polyglot community for some time. So I didn't do anything for language learning, but after that, after I did it, it was like trigger for me to do it, to return to Polyglot community. That's why I'm here, actually. Everything started with this application. Highly recommend it. You can take now your phones and download. Next one, what I also discovered, that what the community of polyglots usually don't know, there are linguistic Olympiads. It is very, very interesting. Question to you, who likes to study, to discover the grammar of the foreign language? And this is exactly for this. What I did here, I put an example of such problem. So you can see it there. It is some language natural, and then you see mahalatli on set times mahalakli is equal to something else. And you have to solve it, you have to find it. It is numbers. Numbers written in the script. And you have to find out what does it mean. There are problems, for example, there are poetry in some Somali language. And you need to fix it. You need to put it correctly, you need to fix it, and you need to find out what is the rule. There are other tasks, other problems, like here is the text in English, here is the text in Basque. Please translate following English sentence to Basque. And so the schoolboy made the mistakes. Please correct the mistakes in his Basque text. And this is everything. There are many tasks like that. If you put on Google Linguistic Olympiad, linguistic problems, you will find them and you will have much fun solving them. And so I highly recommend to do it, to have a look at this. Maybe you will like it, as I like it. So the conclusion of everything, guys, try Audio Brain. It is something interesting. It is not similar to any application that is presented here. About the language learning, it's about poetry, and try the linguistic Olympiads. Thank you.
Et merci beaucoup. Qui ici va parler au sujet de Shower Talk? Oui. Donc, tu es le prochain. Mais maintenant vient Philippe. Bienvenue. Il va parler au sujet de Say Something in Welsh.
Diolch. Felly, if you have ever considered learning a Celtic language and you don't know which one, and you would like to learn it in order to speak to people, then Welsh may be a good choice. It's one of the more vital languages in the sense that it's still spoken by a large community of speakers in Wales, especially in the west and the north, particularly in the northwest of Wales, but there are also pockets of speakers in various other places. And I wanted to make you aware of a course, if you haven't known it already, for learning spoken Welsh, and it's called Say Something in Welsh. And that's really the name of the game, because it does get you to say something in Welsh. It does not teach writing. In fact, they encourage you not to read for at least the first 15 lessons, so that you will focus on listening to the presenter say something in Welsh, say how something is said, something English is said in Welsh, ask you to repeat it. When prompted in English, repeat it in Welsh, without being influenced by the spelling, which may cause you to consciously or unconsciously assign English pronunciations to the letters, because Welsh spelling is a bit different in some cases, especially with the vowels, but also some of the consonants. So they focus on listening and speaking, and by making you repeat longer and longer chunks, it also makes you chunk the language so that you don't pull up individual words, but if you have to translate something like, I met a man in the bar last night who told me that he knows your sister. My first reaction was, ugh, he can't seriously expect me to remember all that. But after you've practiced for a while, you've practiced things such as, I met a man in the bar last night who told me he knows your sister. So it's not 30 individual words or something, but more like 5 chunks that you pull out one by one. And he asks you not to use the pause button if you can, and to trust in the method. And I found, after initial apprehension, that it does work, at least for me. Just spit out the first thing that's on the tip of your tongue, and it'll be right far, far more often than not. And if you make a mistake, that's completely fine, which he also reassures you over and over. Making mistakes is part of learning. You'll hear, after you've made your attempt, you will hear it twice, said by 2 different speakers, a male and a female. There is North and South Welsh to be chosen. And another thing that I really like about the course is the forum which belongs to it, which is filled by a lot of very welcoming and loving, one might even say, people supportive, who've all been there, who've all learned Welsh to some level or another, many of them with the Say Something in Welsh course. Communication on the forum is in English, so that it's accessible even to those who've just started, and also to prevent those from who have just started or have even progressed a bit further from being sort of having a problem by seeing the written form before they're ready, as it were. At any rate, it's a very good place to start, I think. I can highly recommend it. So if you have thought about learning Welsh, say something in Welsh a go. It's saysomethingin.com/Welsh. The first quite a few lessons are free. After that, you pay for individual blocks. And this method of spaced repetition that they use, if they introduce a word in a lesson, they'll use it a few more times in the lesson, and in the next lesson, and then occasionally further and further on, so you won't keep forgetting them. They use that method to teach some other languages, including Latin, Cornish, Spanish, and Dutch, and Manx. And further languages are in preparation. So perhaps give it a go if you're learning one of these other languages, if you'd like to look at the method. And one of the people who helps out is also here, Ivan up there. Give him a big hand. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dziękuję wam, Filip. Následovat bude Georg. Ano. A teraz PG20. Yes.
女士们、先生们，大家下午好。今天下午我们来聊一聊如何用浴室谈话。No, just kidding. I try to speak some English. So hello everybody. I know that by this point that everyone's a little bit tired, so I'm going to make my talk very short and hopefully interesting for everyone. So, I'm not a polyglot. I love learning languages, but I've very seldom heard this topic being mentioned in the community, which is to use shower talk. I'm sure a lot of people probably do it, but you just don't mention it. So today I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking about my experience with shower talk. So I myself have tried many different types of learning, including interactive online learning, audio-based learning, grammar books, and immersion, for instance. And after seeing the brilliant video really made by Anthony Lauder talking about Anki, the notorious Anki, I tried it myself and confirmed his belief, absolutely hated it. So contrary to a lot of people in the community, I actually like class learning. I like going to language courses. I learned a lot of languages in my university, and I found it very highly useful because I treat class learning as sort of, when you have questions, when you have problems, you get the resource, you get the guidance, you get the help from the teachers. Whatever else she's telling you or he's telling you, you can't ignore that if it doesn't help you. So for me, class learning is highly independent. But how do we make it independent outside the class? Well, I thought about it. What I use is, as I mentioned, shower talk. So how does shower talk work? So you stand in the shower and you talk to yourself. As easy as that. Why does it work? Because I think it works in three aspects. First, pronunciation. As I believe everyone has this experience with any new foreign language, you would encounter lots of new sounds that you're not familiar with, that you're embarrassed about, that you just simply cannot produce at the beginning. So what do you do? Well, you practice or you ignore it. But being a polyglot, as most of you guys are, you probably want to practice a little bit. Where do you do that? Well, in the dream, or maybe in the shower, as I suppose. Because you got, typically in the bathroom, very good acoustic. You can hear yourself very well. You don't really have a lot of, disturbance from the outside world. And it's not like in the metro that when you do those sound, a lot of people would be staring at you. So you would avoid that totally. And you can practice as many times as you want in the shower. And the second part is actually grammar. I practice a lot of grammar during the shower, because the thing is, I realized that at the beginning, when you learn certain grammatical rules, you are aware of the existence of these grammar, but you cannot reproduce it very well because you don't monitor your speech. You concentrate so much on, uttering the content right, to using the, correct vocabulary to carry the meanings, that you cannot be properly monitoring your grammar, and you rely on other people to correct you, which very often discourage you. While you would be like, oh yeah, don't correct me, I actually know that, I can correct myself. But how do you correct yourself? Well, I suppose during the shower. And the third thing is really vocabulary. Why can you improve vocabulary during the shower? Because when you start to learn things from the books, there are like certain modules, so they teach you certain things that you're supposed to say at the beginning of learning a language. But is it really relevant to your life? Not really, not always. So what if I want to say something spontaneous? When do I figure it out? In the class, I suppose not. Usually you don't have enough time to do that. So when you're taking a shower, you're relaxing, what do I want to say in this language? And then you figure it out, okay, have I learned it? Have I just forgot about it? If that's the case, then I check the textbook. If I haven't learned it and I found it very useful, then I maybe find it myself after the shower. So some of the benefits that I especially want to emphasize about the shower talk is, first of all, as I've already said, there's no embarrassment as you would sometimes get in the metro or walking on the street. When you're talking to yourself constantly, you get the weird stares. Well, I personally don't care, but you might. And the second thing is, well, no time wasted. I suppose everyone takes showers. Well, more often, or more frequently or less frequently you do, so you have some time to practice your language. And also, I consider it as some sort of automated processing, because when you're taking a shower, you're doing something, and you're sparing some parts of your brain to do it, so you're not totally concentrated on the language that you're speaking, which really helps, because when you're speaking a language fluently, you're not supposed to be thinking about it too much. And the last but not least, during this process, you promote not only polyglottery, but excellent personal hygiene. Thank you.
George.
Yes, thank you. Time. No, I just stop and resume. No, stop, reset. Yes, thank you. Last talk from me, and it's about the uncanny valley between languages and dialects. Right, some preparation. Yes, so I am Georg, I'm from Berlin, I'm German, and I have a thing for dialects. I like learning dialects. So this is why I like to be in this area, because they're just up the river, there's Vienna, and in Vienna they don't speak standard German, but the Viennese dialect. And some years ago I lived in Prague, so I like to be here in Bratislava, because in Bratislava they don't speak standard Czech, but the Bratislavian dialect of Czech, right? So now, yeah, I know some people say, well, but that's the language, that's Slovak, right? You can't just, it's not a dialect. But as we all know, a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. So last time I checked, Slovakia has not a navy, even Czech Republic has not a navy, so apparently we should call it Southern Polish. I don't know. Don't want to digress too much. The thing is really like, if there's something getting too close to, I want to learn a language that's too close to a language I already know, it gets a bit weird, because I feel like I have even problems learning it. And all the situation reminded me of something that I know from robot design. It's called the Uncanny Valley. So when there's engineers building a robot, and there's computer game designers designing a human replica or avatar in a computer game, they are met with something like this. So the more similar it gets to being a human, at the beginning it's fine, like the more familiar it gets for the user. So a toy robot is kind of familiar, then the Bunraku puppet, which is something Japanese, looks even more familiar, but then it somehow gets really creepy, and when you get close to being a human, you suddenly move massively down. And then moving corpse, which is fairly human but not enough, is totally creepy at looking at. And this is really, it's a real thing, you can Google it, the Uncanny Valley, and this is what they met, and I feel there's something going on with languages. So for me as a German, like at the beginning it would be Chinese, then there was maybe somewhere English, Scandinavian languages are more closer, and with Dutch it begins being a bit weird, because there's like these words in Dutch where I think, really, that's the word. For instance, my favorite example is coffin, which is doodkist, like literally means death box. And I really, when I see this, I have to kind of first remember where it's a false friend, and then I have to stop laughing. So it kind of hinders me at learning Dutch for a moment. So what I'm saying is, yeah, if it's too similar, I have a problem with learning it. And just let me think. And yes, and where the moving corpses, this is where the dialects are. So when I really try to learn Viennese or so, it's totally odd. And also people kind of not really accepting for it. So I've meet a lot of problems when I want to learn dialects. And these are the problems for dialect learners. So first, there are barely any textbooks available. Like, where's the Viennese textbooks? I didn't find it yet. There's no written standard, so you need to completely depend on your ear when you want to learn it. There is rarely any native speakers sometimes will really help you, because sometimes they also think, what are you doing? Like, they sometimes even might feel offended and mocked. But I really genuinely just want to learn the language, your dialect, your actual language, right? But it's kind of odd. It seems like it's not really socially acceptable to learn a dialect. So you are in a situation where you either be perfect or you crash and burn. And because nobody will accept the excuse, oh, sorry, I just got it wrong, but I'm just learning Viennese, right? They kind of ask you, why would you do that? And actually, it's a fair question. Why would you learn a dialect? And I say, well, first you want to pass as a true local. And when you pass as a true local, you're much more trustworthy. People are like more kind to you, because you're part of them, right? And second, we are polyglots, so we like challenges, and some of us pay attention to pronunciation. And I would call, it's a challenge for pronunciation. I don't call it's just advanced native pronunciation, what learning dialects is. So this is why I would like to encourage you also in becoming a dialect learner. So I want to coin the word polyglot today. Let's be all polyglots. I'm looking still for tandem partners. So for German, I like the Viennese dialect to learn. For English, it's the Australian dialect I have a thing for. And as I said, for Czech, it's the Bratislavian dialect. So if you want to pair with me, just come up. Thank you.
Which dialect do you speak yourself?
Berlinese. Yeah, I can do Berlinese for you.
So we've reached the end of our slot. So I want to say thank you to all our speakers, and thank you for everyone coming to make it all worthwhile.